Howdy, folks. Welcome to a new series from me, myself, and I, the mysterious JG. Um, it's going to be Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's going to be a shock because you guys have seen the title of the video, presumably. Mildly surprised myself I'm going to be playing this. I just got this sudden kind of random itch to play this game again, having already completed the game once offline. You may have seen gameplay footage of this on my channel, for those of you who follow my... And I'm not going to make this... Well, I don't know. I can't promise anything. But yeah, I'm having some health issues, and in a channel update for the JG fans as opposed to the individual game fans, I used footage of my playing this to kind of update people on what was happening with me and some pretty serious stuff that I'm still wrestling with. Wasn't expecting to play it on screen. Even said in that video I probably never would, but I'm enjoying it, and there's kind of an interesting thought process. I have said that I'm going to get to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which will be a very long Let's Play, with a lot of opportunity for off-screen effort to collect resources that wouldn't advance plot and necessarily need to be recorded. I also intend to do Yakuza Like a Dragon, and if it plays like anything like the Yakuza games that I've watched, Lethal Feline, YouTube superstar and Twitch god Lethal Feline playing Like a Dragon or Yakuza games, that one could involve a lot of off-plot resource stuff too. On the other hand, I know Yakuza Like a Dragon is a turn-based RPG, and the previous Yakuza games were action games, but I think that same flavor of there's a whole lot of extra stuff you can do is there. Although in that game, the nature of the things you do outside of the plot might be more things I would need to record because they would have, side story content. But I don't know why I'm talking about that. But as people know, I'm sick. I'm spending a lot of time just kind of at home, not really able to go anywhere. And gaming is a big thing to get me through. Just finished a run through Trials of Mana, which was essentially my chemo game. I would play it because it was a really uplifting, fun game to play on chemo weekends when I wasn't feeling that hot. But I've got all these things I want to do. I've got series that are still going, and nothing seems to be wrapping up quickly. And it seems a strange time to start Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, but as I mentioned, I'm just gaming constantly. I don't want to be putting out 2 hours of content a day. I've already had some gentle teasing about how much content I am producing. This is a game where I can play through the story, and there's a lot of opportunity to grind off screen, mostly because this game, if you want to take advantage of some elements we'll be seeing, involves a lot of item drops and beating up the same enemies over and over and over again trying to get rare item drops. I actually don't mind that kind of thing if it's not crazy excessive. Particularly, like I said, when I'm just gaming all the time and don't necessarily need to be recording every second of it. All that being said, we're in 3 minutes chatting about why I'm playing it. Why don't we actually just start playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night? Apologies to Bobo the Vulture. He's not actively Let's Playing anything right now, but the possibility he'll come back is there. And this is, I think, reasonably high up on his list of things he might have wanted to try out himself. But it's not the only thing he's looking to do. He doesn't have any time right now to do anything. So maybe this can just be one that he can watch and enjoy. Or maybe he can play through it himself and do a totally different style of playthrough. There are more than one gameplay modes you can do, although you have to beat the default story to unlock the others. And they're all kind of supplemental to what is clearly... The game is designed to be played by the default starting character. I can explain some of this once we get in there. I'm trying to explain too much too quick here. But, the main thing to understand, I guess... I'm going to embarrass myself by not knowing his name because I didn't bother to, open up a Wikipedia page or anything. But, one of the main auteur game developers at Konami, who was behind... I don't know what his involvement in the original NES-era Castlevania games were, but he is considered, the main guy behind Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is, I like that game a lot, but there are other people for whom it's their favorite game of all time. Obviously, a whole genre. I think Sympathy of the Night. Sympathy of the Night was post Super Metroid, because they use the Metroidvania as the name of a whole genre of games, and I guess Super Metroid would have to be credit for coming first, and then it depends on whether people consider Simon's Quest the first Metroidvania game and blah blah. I'm not interested in debating, but yeah, this is a Kickstarter funded game. Did fairly well, as I understand. I mean, it obviously did well enough to get developed, and is a reasonably commercially successful game. I haven't gone in and looked at figures, so I might be totally wrong on that. But yeah, it's a Kickstarter-based game coming from the guy who did Sympathy of the Night. Symphony of the Night. So you'll see it has a lot of stylistic similarities, which is generally a really good thing. There's other Bloodstained games. There's a Bloodstained, I think, Curse of the Moon? Although I know there's a Castlevania Curse of the Moon. There's a different Bloodstained game, which was initially a stretch goal for the Kickstarter, which is a NES-style, like retro 8-bit style Castlevania game. Very different from this game. I have not played it. I watched some footage of it. It looks pretty true to the Castlevania ethos in that it's really freaking hard, although it seems like you've got a lot more crazy mobility than you did in Castlevania, where part of the challenge was Simon wasn't moving at warp speed, had some slightly odd jump mechanics. A lot of people have commented on that game, and I won't go into a ton of it now. Played it on my channel, though. But yeah, this is obviously the PlayStation and then post-PlayStation Castlevania games this is kind of emulating. Konami is a bit of a dumpster fire. They're just full-on pachinko now, so some of the Konami titles we loved and the people who developed them, I mean, now that I think about it, hadn't planned this. I'm now playing the Castlevania guys' post-Konami game while also playing Hideo Kojima's post-Konami game. So that's a thing. What else can I do before we start? Extra mode. I don't remember how many of these are available before you play the main story through once. But classic mode is kind of interesting. It really is an 8-bit NES-style gameplay. I played it for like 2 minutes. But it's not the same as the actual fully released game. So I'm kind of curious about that. I might check that out at some point. And you can play... We'll be doing a new game slot here. I will go with the name Miriam. What the hell? Backer ID? I don't even know what that is. Oh, yeah, duh. That's a Kickstarter thing. I didn't contribute to the Kickstarter. I didn't find out there was a Kickstarter until after the game was out. But there's actually 2 players you can play as, and it's in that way it's similar to like some of the Symphony of the Night versions for different systems, where there was a main character, Alucard, but you could also play as whichever Belmont was in that game and some other woman too. But they kind of have like different weird mechanics from Alucard, and some aspects of the game don't work as well. They're designed for Alucard, blah blah blah. This is similar. I played a couple of minutes of Zangetsu. He starts out with all the techniques he's going to get and has no story scenes. So playing as him would be kind of a curiosity. It would not be the main way that you'd want to let's play the game, because the story will not be there. So I'm going to play as Miriam, and I'm going to play on normal difficulty. There is a New Game Plus. I think trying to play a New Game Plus and showcase it on the internet, the game would be I think a lot of the game would be broken if I were to do that. So I'm just going to kind of start from scratch. And did not mean to go in and change this. Miriam, proceed with this name. Yes. Yes, yes. Erase all memory of game from mankind's consciousness. Yes. Oh, and that whole game prompts me for a yes, no, and I say erase memory of game from mankind's consciousness. Yes. And that's a Mystery Science Theater reference. If you've seen the one I'm talking about, you might remember what I'm referencing, and it might amuse you. If you have not, it's just a reference to Mystery Science Theater. Probably the
Industrial Revolution ushered in a new era that threatened to transform the values of men.
No longer did they believe in burning witches.
Spirituality be their compass. But not all welcomed the change.
We called these people conservatives.
In 1783, just as the fires of the Laki eruption had plunged all of Europe into an ashen darkness, a horde of demons spilled from the shadows and fell upon city after English city.
Okay, now is the point where they depart from real history.
The The Alchemy Guild,
Unless you consider the
fearing
demons
the rise
Irish
of
immigrants.
industrialism and abandonment by their wealthy patrons, had done the unthinkable to defend their existence.
They got in bed with QAnon.
Through recondite arts, the alchemists had created shard binders, humans transplanted with crystal that attuned them to demonic power.
Oh, check it out, Bobo. They're crystal carriers.
They sacrificed the shard binders, and in doing so, threw the gates of the world open to demonkind.
And women
Countless
voters.
innocents died.
Other horrifying
And though the
things.
church succeeded in vanquishing the Hell's End, a steep price had already been paid and collected.
Collected being different from paid in this sense.
As for the shard binders, they were presumed to have all died in the sacrificial rite.
But if that was true, we wouldn't have a game, so...
However, two survived. Jeeble, a boy for whom by some miracle the rite did not prove fatal.
Mm-hmm.
And Miriam, a girl who was spared the rite altogether on account of the strange slumber that took her just before it could begin.
She's at an age that's young enough to be acceptable to consider sexy, so guess which one we'll be playing as.
Time too soon forgets tragedy. The demons have returned.
Young enough to be
Presaged by
acceptable.
a great castle.
Old enough to be considered acceptable
On
to
this
be found
very
sexy,
tower,
but on the young end of that. So yeah, Miriam. We're playing as
Upon
Miriam.
learning Jeeble is the architect of this new bloodstained ritual,
What?
Miriam and the alchemist Johannes set forth for the accursed castle.
Wouldn't that just be Johann? Hey, whatever.
Their galleon cuts through the water, lancing towards the inevitable.
So I'm going to hit start now. Can I pause during these scenes? No, I don't think I can. It would appear to be a bad idea to mess with this. Yep, I just accidentally
Are
messed
you
with it.
certain it was... ...
So I was referencing she's old enough that it's okay to think she's hot. Try not to harp on this too much. I got borderline weird with like wanting to see all of Angela's costumes in Charles of Man. Like by the end of it, I was like, okay, maybe expressed too much interest in that. I do tend to, in most video games that has a female major characters, it's a force of habit. I'm a film school graduate. Feminist critique and communist or socialism critique and various other types of critique were hammered into my head. Miriam's not too bad. She's obviously she has large but not like stupid large breasts. She's wearing clothes that cover her up for the most part. So yeah, she's actually okay. She's in the like, yeah, you probably want to make your female protagonist kind of hot for the sake of your male and lesbian gamers, but like I don't think they're stupid with it. It's not Laura Croft level nonsense. So I'm kind of okay with it. And I try not to talk about her appearance constantly throughout. Johannes, on the other hand, is actually, I guess he'd be quasi-Bishonen. So, I mean, while we're on the topic, yeah, he's probably pretty cute if you're into that. And this whole thing is set in like this gothic world, which is, there's this whole gothic fiction has this like underlying sexual tension in like the Dracula films. Like I can't fault them too much for this. They're like right where almost any video game adaptation of something gothic was going to be at. Other thing I wanted to say here, and I swear to God we'll get to some gameplay in this video, is kind of talked over it. Yeah, the plot is a mysterious castle full of demons has appeared, which is the plot of pretty much every Castlevania game. I guess I don't know that it's specified to have mysteriously just appeared from nothing in the NES era games. I think it's there. You go into Dracula's castle to kill Dracula. But like Symphony, not Sympathy, Symphony of the Night. If I remember correctly, that's the entire plot. Like it's certainly in like whichever games Bobo played on his channel where like you have like white-haired, sullen like teenager guy fighting Dracula with his girlfriend who appears to be like 8. Yeah, those games, it is part of the story. The castle just like appeared without any logical, normal world physics explanation and is a threat to the world. So he has to go deal with it. But that's what this is. Like a castle has just appeared, and we got to go take care of business.
It was Jeeble's doing, Miriam. No mistake.
We're taking the belts.
It's so hard to believe. I wouldn't even be alive if not for him. He's a good soul.
Blimey, I say.
I know how you feel. But the facts are apparent.
He really should have a different accent if he's going to be Johannes.
And the hell he endured 10 years ago would break the best of souls.
So the fact that his soul wasn't really that great to begin with guarantees it's broken.
Miriam, I want you to know that I'm sorry. What my brothers subjected you to, there's no forgiving it.
Oh, he's Johannes Hansen. He's the youngest of 4 brothers.
It was their transgression, not yours. You always took care of us.
Which is, that's a nice edit. It's a fairly efficient exposition here, like getting across that he's got some guilt, but it's not really on him, and that Miriam's not the kind of person to hold it against him. It's fairly efficient here. We're not going to have a ton of character development in this game, but there's little scenes like this that are generally pretty well done.
Obviously, not enough.
Get over it, I just told you.
Well, let it go, Johannes.
Release the bone.
We need to focus on the task ahead. If Jeeble is responsible for the summoning, then I have to stop him. I gave him my word.
We need to focus on the task ahead, which is me doing all the work.
I ought to do it. He was my best friend.
Don't tell me they didn't figure this out before they hopped on the boat.
But I'm the only one who can. The shard experiments prepared me for combat. Let them amount to something.
There is only one man on this spaceship who has had the training, both mentally and physically, for combat. Very well. Get me my warrior, Mumu.
10 whole years. What put me in that sleep?
If I'd been asleep for the last 10 years, I would be waking up wondering whether anyone had watched Let's Play Linus 2.
I wish I had the answer.
But I'm really not going to be that useful for anything, except crafting items if you give me the fruits of hours of grinding.
All I know is the spell that stopped time for you was advanced, arcane.
Pretty damn awesome, actually.
But by observing the ebb of the magic's hold on you, I was able to predict exactly when you would wake up.
And I didn't do anything creepy while you were asleep. This is not a party wagon in the TV edit version of Kill Bill Volume 1 situation.
Oh, I see.
We'll make landfall soon. You should get ready.
You know, JG complimented the exposition, but we really are bordering on talking about things we clearly would already have discussed before this point.
I had the chest there packed with essential equipment. Now would be a good time to put it on.
Or put it on. So we start out kicking. Can't really talk to him again because we've got a knife and kung fu shoes. Interestingly, we were kicking before equipping the kung fu shoes, so we may well have. Oh, you know what? I can confirm.
You're prepared.
Oh, I didn't equip
The
anything,
next order
actually.
of business is to.
Monsters.
I'll take care of it.
Right, I'll take care of it. Yeah, okay, I was curious. Hadn't bothered. I haven't figured that out before. Yeah, you default to using the shoes because you have different weapons and they give you different attack styles. You default to using shoe attacks if you're not equipped with a weapon, but in fact your attack will be worthless. Or at least we've just increased it 5 times over here. Ares horns are her default. They don't do much, and you can take them off if you prefer how she looks without them on. But in gameplay, like, the menu screens, you're like, oh, she's wearing oh, I hate her hat. In the game, for the most part, her character model isn't large enough for you to really notice this stuff, so it ain't that big a deal. And all we got was the 2 weapons to choose from, so. That didn't sound fun. Shard, a crystallized form of demon power. It cannot be handled by an ordinary human being. Conjure Shard. Press triangle to trigger projectile magic. Consumes MP. Cerulean Splash. Launch a bouncing ball of water at enemies. Ineffective against Misty. Or her water-type Pokemon. Was that a shard? Yes, it was a shard. I thought you were an expert.
I'd forgotten the way it felt. Like uninvited claws scraping across my bones.
Totally hot, man.
The demon's power was transmuted into that shard, which forcibly bonded to the crystal embedded in your body.
I know that, but okay, exposition, got it.
The strength you gain from it is undeniable, but eventually, the crystal will devour you.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty hot.
I thought the procedure you discovered halted the corruption.
You mean it's gonna eat me? Is that, you mean eat me? Well, never mind. Okay, GG, come on, knock it off.
It did, but that doesn't guarantee you'll be safe if you start absorbing shards in massive quantities.
Like, if you max out everything in this game, you're gonna absorb hundreds and hundreds of shards, and he's suggesting that's a bad idea, and as far as ways to spend your life, he's probably right.
I know my body's limits better than anyone.
So, back off, man. Keep your laws off my body, Johannes.
And I'm going to need all the power I can get. And if I run into trouble, you can help me. You've done it before. You'll do it again.
Spoken like a girl who knows she's hot and knows that the guy in glasses is going to do what she tells him when the time comes.
Thanks for giving me a choice in the matter. Well, I won't let you down. Not if I can help it.
Last caveat, really undercutting the strength of his conviction there.
Just promise you won't push yourself.
In the bush? Oh no, Mr. Karate's under attack.
How did they get inside?
Well, one just attacked a minute ago.
The demons from the castle must have infested the ship.
Which I guess means we're close to the castle. So we're not going to have like a Uncharted Waters New Horizons style navigation sequence before the action game starts.
Then they can help me wake up these muscles of mine. I'll wipe the deck with them.
I'll crown all ears. But first, Cerulean Splash. I did a lot of talking at the start. Let's just play around a bit and I'll explain other gameplay mechanics as required. Candles can drop a mana rose when destroyed. A mana rose is a magical rose that slightly replenishes your MP. The kick attacks aren't bad, but I don't know. It seems kind of undignified. I'd rather actually have her fighting with a Wobbit. I mean, the shoes technically count as a Wobbit, but they don't feel like a Wobbit, you know? I may change my mind later. It actually is quite handy that when you slide and your shoes are a weapon, slides inflict damage on enemies. Other than that, shoes function like almost every other weapon. There's a lot of weapons in this game, but there's not that much difference between how they work. Some of them have longer longer attack arcs and bigger hitboxes and consumable items can be consumed using inventory. We got a potion. Buzz. There's a way to go up here, but we can't get there yet, so never mind. Oh, and for anyone familiar with the Castlevania, Metroidvania games, yes. Advancing in the game and finding new improvements over your own mobility options is a big thing.
This device responds to magic. Maybe I just need to hold my hand up to it.
What's just a door? I mean... But, yeah, like revisiting old areas of the game where there were little side paths you didn't need to take, which have extra goodies you can reach with later game movement mechanics, is a big thing. I like games like that. It gives you a reason to re-explore old areas if you are so inclined, but in almost all cases, you're not going to have to do that to advance. So we've got our first enemy other than those guys. It's a yellow, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. Although now it looks like we might be able to get to that place we couldn't reach before. And you can absorb more than one of a shard, but I kind of promised that I would get into gameplay. Oh, well, we got a shard from that enemy. Gale Crawler. Create a shockwave that travels across the ground and rips enemies apart. This actually seems to be the most effective of the shards we can get at this early stage. We got a country dress. And, I found a little secret that... And I'm just going to tell you now, I played this game for quite a while the other day without recording, just to, like, grind and get shards and gold and be at a good point when we actually get into the castle. But I don't think I found that, so I'll need to go back and get it. But anyway, I'll get into a little bit more about how shards work in the next video or so. But suffice it to say, you can collect more than one of the same shard, and collecting more than one of the same shard will make the corresponding attack more effective in some way. Generally, it's just, for the attacks, it's usually just raw power, but sometimes there's other things it does. There's actually there's also a different way to upgrade shards other than just collecting more. Which again, I'll explain later. Dola Hammer. These are going to be our kind of toughest regular enemies at this early part of the game. And they drop bronze, and we also found a rusted ring and some bronze in the treasure chest it was guarding. We've got 2 accessory shots, slots. Rusted ring is giving us just minor little boosts, but we don't have anything else to put in the slots, so there's no reason not to take them. We can jump through the floor of platforms, we can slide. We can wander over here to see if there's anything worth looking at over here before we slide. Since sliding would appear to be the path forward. We got a potion. And I have to remember, there's never a reason not to check the walls at the end of a room, because as we found, you're not always just finding secret passageways into new rooms. Sometimes you're just finding a secret little cubby with like an HP or MP max. Hearts max, as you might call it. So like even if it's like, oh, there's no way there's a whole room over there, the map's clearly terminating at this point, still usually worth it to just poke the walls. Meanwhile, we found a book. From my studies, so I found the existence of the following attributes. Slash, thrust, strike. Basically your 3 different types of physical attack. Fire, ice, thunder. Fire and ice. Light and dark. Poison, curse, and stone. I don't remember what curse does, but I know it's kind of a bad thing. Don't remember it being that effective against a lot of enemies, but do remember it being a big pain in the butt. Various enemies can inflict it on you. I don't remember if you have the ability to inflict curse. I know that you can use different items to increase your resistance to it. But again, I don't remember precisely what it does. Directional shard. Aim with buttons. Press R2 to activate. So it is the only one we have, which means we should, well, hold on, let me check. Yeah, we default to it. And although I didn't bother to show you that the wall here was solid before that, the wall here was solid before that. So by doing that, we got into a new zone. Cool, excuse me. Pardon me. Morte, I believe, is the only enemy in the game that never drops a shard. Blue treasure chests are a little different. That kind of baby blue, aqua blue, whatever you want to call it. I think it's baby blue. Those chests are a little different because they actually respawn. I'm sure that if I were to check the wiki, it's been thoroughly explained somewhere, but I don't know exactly what it takes to get them to respawn. If you have to leave the entire area, or if it just happens after a certain amount of time, or what. But because they respawn, you'll find that they include like useful ingredients for like this game's alchemy slash cooking slash crafting, because every game needs crafting now, a mechanic. It's not, you're never going to come across one of those chests that gives you like game-breaking quality stuff, but it'll give you stuff that you use for crafting. This game doesn't have the same like special weapons mechanic of like a Castlevania for the NES, which is to say you don't have like special weapons that you can only carry one at a time, and they're dictated by whatever you last got from a candle. So treasure chests and candles or lamps or whatever, there's never a reason not to hit them. The worst thing that's going to happen is they give you something that's, you know, trash. You're not going to get something that literally hinders you or hurts you in any way. That being said, I don't remember. There might be mimic chests later in the game that I've forgotten about, but that's a different mechanic from be careful not to hit this power up, because it's going to give you, you've got triple shot boomerang and it's going to give you single shot dagger and whatnot. bullets. That is actually bullet. Ammunition is the word you're looking for, JG. That's actually ammunition for a weapon we'll be getting later. And here's a green chest that gives us the Galleon map. Now we have a full view of this entire map, and you can see we've explored a decent chunk of it already. It's a fairly short game intro section, which we should be clearing in the next video or two. Will I be as good as my word on that, or will I spend 15 minutes of the next video explaining game mechanics, talking about other series, or just generally not getting to the point? The only way to know for sure is to watch next time. I'm Serious JG, thanks for watching, I'll catch you then. Oh, I probably wanted to hit the stop button using the correct mouse. That's more likely to stop this video. Okay, for real this time.